Last coal-fired power plant is closing for good today, ending 142 years of coal-generated electricity in the nation that sparked the Industrial Revolution.
A sign of the times. The shutdown makes Britain the first country from the group of 7 major economies to completely phase out coal. Power from coal here has gradually declined over the years. Recently, it was contributing only about 1% to the national electricity grid, and Britain produces about 1% of all global net zero emissions. So, by the numbers, the closing of this last plant here is symbolic, but it's not going to change the world. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 139 points. The Nasdaq is down just a fraction. The S&P 500 down 7. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 9:04.
This report sponsored by Fox World Travel. Go, Fox, go.
The Fox exclusive cruise sale with Royal Caribbean is going on now. Daring first and thrilling adventures are as plentiful as elegant moments and stress-melting relaxation when you sail with Royal Caribbean. Fox World Travel offers exclusive cruise prices you won't find with any other local travel agency. Plus, for a limited time, receive free specialty dining on select cruises. Let a Fox World Travel cruise expert save you from the daunting task of choosing from ships, ports, and staterooms. And visit foxworldtravel.com to plan your next cruise.
Another MVP has joined the roster at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, Dr. Michael Nolte. Expertscape recently named him part of the top 1% of spine expertise in the world. Dr. Nolte has published over 50 peer-reviewed articles in leading scientific journals and authored more than 100 national presentations. They added this MVP specialist for orthopedic, neurosurgical, and spine care because at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
It's here on consignment from over 10,000 nationwide partners. From very high-end, distinctive furniture, unique antiques and original art, to tasteful home decor that can fit almost any budget. Premium home decor priced right at 25 to 40% off retail prices. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
Smart interior designers know that what they'll see here is going to be almost impossible to find anywhere else, especially at our consignment prices. Premium home decor that's gently loved and close to new. And what we carry can raise the wow factor of anyone's home decor. This is Katie with Design Exchange, where discerning buyers with discriminating tastes come to find premium home decor at a value. Design Exchange in Heartland and Pewaukee.
Design Exchange.
The Brewers Hunt for Brew October on WTMJ is sponsored by Delta Dental.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Mets shut out the Brewers 5-0 from Milwaukee to set up a win-or-go-home doubleheader today. Mets play the Braves to determine who makes the playoffs as a National League wildcard team. Milwaukee heads into the playoffs as the third seed in the NL and will open the wildcard round from American Family Field tomorrow. With Jordan Love under center after missing 2 weeks with a knee injury, it was a tale of two halves for the Packers in a 31-29 loss to the Vikings.
The Packers were outscored 28-7 in the first half, but outscored the Vikings 22-3 in the second half to make a game of it in the fourth quarter.
It's interesting when you're down 28-0, like how you're going to respond, and I think you saw the character of our locker room.
Complicating matters for Matt LaFleur's team, 2 missed field goals and 4 total turnovers, 2 of which came in the fourth quarter.
So there was a lot of critical mistakes that we made. I think we all can be better, myself, number one, at the forefront of that.
Greg Matzik, WTMJ News.
Packers fall to 2-2 with the loss. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Pretty quiet out there. Typical drive times, 94 east from Highway 16 to the Zoo, about 10 minutes. The Zoo to the Marquette interchange is going to take you about 6 minutes. A little bit of slowing construction zone, I-43 southbound, Brown Deer Road to downtown. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be sunny today with highs around 75 lakeside, 80 inland, maybe an isolated shower north tonight with a low of 59. Partly cloudy, breezy, cooler tomorrow, 68 for the high. It's going to be a chilly morning on Wednesday with a high of only 71. Sunny and 74 Thursday, an isolated shower early Friday, then mostly sunny, a high of 70. 56 in Madison, 62 in Green Bay, now 68 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:08.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
And good morning, happy Monday. Yes, Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. Thanks for taking the time. So, in the last week or so, we've started our little thing called the Election Countdown, and producer Jasmine has created a nifty little opening. So let's hit that, Jazz.
It's time for the countdown to the election on the Political Power Hour.
Yes, I love that music. Energetic. Wake your you-know-what's up on this Monday. I know you're all sad about the Packers. And oh, by the way, even though I'm not doing any Packers conversation, I will be recording the MMQ podcast with the one, the only Brandon Snide immediately after the show. And boy, do I have a lot to talk about. Kickers. Don't like them. Never did. Can't stand them. Got one job. Do it. Anyway, so here's the sort of the funny thing about the countdown. So I was looking at a bunch of websites this morning because I get it pretty early. And I was noticing people tweeting about the number of days to the election. And I saw 37. I thought 36. I saw 35. I'm thinking, how hard is this to do? So I just Googled, what's the number? And I have a running clock in front of me. Now, this is to Tuesday midnight, apparently. That's the metric they're using. This is at the 270towin.com website. 35 days, 15 hours, a little more than 49 minutes. From right now, this very second, 9, 8, going down to 48 minutes in a second. That's the number. So I don't know what you all folks are looking at. But boy, does it illustrate what's wrong with this country when we can't even get this right? The countdown number? The digits? Anyway, here's my focus on this day. And what did I say? 35 plus 15 hours plus 48 minutes now. We got a big day tomorrow in presidential politics. Why is that, you may ask, Steve? Vice presidential debates. I'm going to be talking to my guy James Wiggerson tomorrow about this, the history of it, the histrionics of it, if you want to use that term. And they are going to be in New York at the CBS Broadcast Center. I believe Margaret Brennan, who I'm a big fan of, does a Sunday morning show on CBS, and Nora O'Donnell, who's on her way out, I believe, as the evening host of the CBS Evening News. Where's she going? I wonder. They're going to be the moderators. Now, a little slight change from what has happened previously. The mics will be on when the other candidate is talking. So, there's a caveat to that, even though. So, in the past debates, one between Biden and Trump, and the last one between Kamala Harris and Trump, they cut the mics off. So, you couldn't hear Trump or Harris or Biden or Harris, or Biden or Trump, rather, talking while the other person was talking, which I kind of like. Now, this one, they're going to leave them on, and it should add a little spice to it, right? A little spice is nice. But they do have the ability to shut it off if the person just doesn't stop talking, which I think is a good thing. Like the other debates, no studio audience. I believe they have 2 minutes. There's no, opening statement. It's 2 minutes, and then a minute for rebuttal, and then they can give you another minute if there's something that you want to say. So it's actually a pretty good format. Of the two hosts, I would certainly say that, and moderators, I would say that Margaret Brennan will be the better of the two. I think she's a solid journalist. She has everybody on her show, something that I pride myself on. We have people from both sides of the political aisle, which is something that, oh, by the way, if you haven't checked, is sort of a novel concept, and especially in talk radio. But I enjoy it, so we'll continue to do that. And I'll give you a case in point on Wednesday this week. So what do I expect in this debate? Real quick, not much. This is going to be a chance for Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, or the Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to sort of get their name and their face out there, make a snappy or clever quip, trying to embarrass the other side. But as far as content goes, first of all, these are vice presidents. And I've said before, I said it last week, neither of these two people would I ever want as president. And that's just me saying that. You may think differently. I'm not interested in either one. So for this debate, which I will watch because it's part of my job description, I expect nothing of substance other than the clever quips that we always get at these debates. A line they practice for a week or two, they will try to lob it into the mix at some point, and because there's no studio audience, you don't really get the reaction that you normally would get. All right, after the break, it's countdown day, 35. I'm saying 35. If they're saying something else, I don't know what they're looking at. After the break, the one, I haven't talked to him in a while, and he also does Jeff Sherman shows, so you'll hear him a little bit later as well. CEO of Annex Wealth Management, Dave Spano. And here's what we're going to talk about. This is a fascinating topic. Can't wait to get into it with Dave. The politics of our country when it comes to the economy and investing, the markets. Dave knows better than anybody. It's going to be my pleasure to have him on for about 20 minutes, talking about all of that on the Political Power Hour Monday edition right here on You Know Where We're At, 620 WTMJ.
Be our eyes on the road. See something out there that I should know about?
There was an incident on Blue Mountain Road going eastbound where 2 lanes are blocked.
Call me, Debbie Loziga, at the Hall Volkswagen Traffic Tip Line at 414-238-9329.
Hi, Debbie, Michael. I-94 eastbound, there is a crash that the sheriff now has the right lane blocked.
The drive affects you. Why not be part of it? Give me a call, 414-238-9329.
Hey, this is WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi for Adair, A-D-A-I-R. Simple as that. Adair Floors and Remodeling, South 27th Street. Chose them for our kitchen floor 20-plus years ago. Still looks amazing. When Rob saw it, he goes, wow, that looks awesome. I said, yes, it does. We hired them for our basement landing area. It's sort of a wood plank look. Also awesome, looks amazing. Changed the whole look of our basement area, rec room as they used to call them, or lower living area. Their design team worked with us. They can work with you for all of your flooring, and not just flooring. Remodeling needs as well, bathrooms and kitchens. They do all of that stuff down their showroom on South 27th Street. You can see all of the products they use. We literally held at least 50 flooring samples in our hands, Kathy and I, when we decided to pick the one, and we love the one we picked. But they let you take them home. You can kind of see what you're going to get. Home or business, by the way, family owned and operated right there in Franklin, South 27th Street, south of Rawson on I-94, north of Highway 100 or Ryan Road for the locals. Stop in, tell them Scaffidi sent you, or visit them online at Adair, A-D-A-I-R floors.com.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are injury attorneys living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
If you're experiencing low energy, brain fog, or bloating, then your body might need a detox. Active Liver from New Nordic makes it easy to help your liver to detox your body all year long without any major changes to your diet or lifestyle.
Oh, I've ached to hear this song, and it's been a while. Dave used to join me every Monday along with Carol Kane, and I haven't talked to him in a while, although I do see him occasionally. Dave Spano, CEO. Last time I checked, that's Chief Executive Officer of Annex Wealth Management. Dave Spano, how are you on this Monday?
Good, my friend. How have you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
It has been a while, and I was thinking about this last night. Politics is an interesting conversation always, and especially in the country that we live in now. It's sort of this 50-50 world, both in the United States and in Wisconsin. But there's also a piece of that story that impacts, our economy, interest rates, investing, financial planning. So I wanted to bring you in because you are a guy who understands this, not just from like what's happening now and then sort of forward thinking, but also historically. So let's start with this one, Dave. A lot of people always make a connection between administrations or parties and market performance. Is there such a link? And if so, what is it?
So we went back 100 years, Steve, and studied this. And partisan control versus performance. And so we started with best to worst, and in the best situation, historically, average rate of return, 15.7%, has been a Democratic Senate, a Republican House, and a Democratic President, followed by a Republican President, Democratic House, and Republican Senate. And it's about a percent difference. One's 2%, and the other's 13.7. So a split environment is generally what is good for the market. Generally, when you see a red wave or a blue sweep, any of those things, generally the market is uncertain because they think there's going to be a lot of changes, and therefore they're uncertain how to perform. And that's why you see a split partisan is really the best historical performance numbers.
So when you look at that story, though, we do know that policy, especially Republican policy, can shape lower taxes. That's typically been the messaging, right? Or interest rates. Is there a connection in that sense?
There really is. But I think if the framework for analyzing this election really comes to us in really three thoughts. First of all is, what is the narrative? Like, what has it been? What is the prospective choices between the two? So you can compare narratives, and they're obviously different between the Republican side and the Democratic side. But then secondarily, we look at the economic outlook. So what are jobs? What are inflation? What is the disposable income numbers? What's the vibe? How are people feeling? All of those things go into the economic outlook. And then the third thing, Steve, is the swing states. And as we know, these these 7 swing states are going to be really dependent upon who wins 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Dave Spano joining us from Annex Wealth Management on this Monday Political Power Hour edition. All right, so if we look at where we're at right now, we saw that the Fed ticked those interest rates down 0.5. We see the markets responding in almost a daily new record. At least that's been the recent history. From your perspective and your organization, analyzing data, and you said this last year, you saw the market going to 40,000. It did. What sense do you get of where we're at right now in terms of interest rates and market performance?
So, as we talked about last year, the Fed was in a predicament. They wanted to lower interest rates, but inflation still stayed high, so they kept pushing that off. And so, to me, the Fed is always fighting last year's war, and so therefore they kept interest rates too low for too long, as you recall, and there was still a ton of liquidity in the markets long into when the market was telling them they should lower interest rates. Vice versa, what we're looking at right now is the fact that the Fed probably was too late. And in fact, Powell admitted that at his press conference the other day. And so he did lower, the committee lowered 50 basis points. And there's a possibility right now, betting odds is there'll be another 50 basis points cut after the election. So we're looking at what that means to the economy. Obviously, the market liked that because we've rallied since they announced that. And on top of that, you're getting other stimuluses like China beginning to put a lot of stimulus into their economy. So there is a lot of good things that are happening for the party in charge right now. That is good. If the market rallies into the last 90 days, that's generally good for the incumbent or the incumbent's party, and vice versa. If it comes back in the last 90 days, that's generally not good. So that we could get an October surprise, Steve. And so we're going to have to watch this over the next 30-some days before the election, 40 days. We're going to watch it very closely. If the market starts to pull back, which is going to be interesting because you have earnings coming out, and earnings are expected to be good. You've got a lot of liquidity still out there. The Fed is lower interest rate, and China is loosening. All of that suggests a good thing for the economy.
Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management. We'll take a break here. After the break, some of those risk factors that Dave just alluded to, and what is important for individual investors who are thinking about retirement or in retirement or getting a second look, all of those things as they measure out by the great, great organization that is Annex Wealth Management. We'll do this after the break here on WTMJ.
The Upswing is your place for commerce and community.
A lot of businesses have available space. Creating similar models, especially in the downtown area that invite everyone in, I think that's a winning scenario.
Hosted by Jeff Sherman.
It can't feel like a hotel lobby.
No.
I walk in and 95% of these spaces, I'm like, why am I leaving my house? Because this is cleaner?
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
The surgeons that I know are good people. They just want to do what they can to help you feel better. And the surgeries they perform can do wonders for their patients. But medicine's a business, and surgery is the big ticket item. And there are surgeries that are absolutely necessary. In almost all cases, a total knee replacement isn't one of them. It's a last resort. So before you opt for a total knee replacement, if you haven't been to Rejuvenex, you may find that we have treatments that can give you the relief you're looking for. They're FDA approved, and they can alleviate pain, in many cases significantly. And insurance could cover a big portion of, if not all of our treatment costs. The osteoarthritic pain you're feeling will only worsen, and that's why you should take action now. This is Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Clinics, where we can alleviate your pain and rejuvenate your life.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to Rejuvenex.com to request your free pain evaluation.
As the leaves start to turn and the air gets crisp, it's the perfect time to think about your outdoor space. WTMJ's John Mercure here. Go with the company I trust, Landworks Wisconsin. From stunning fall displays and holiday decorating to dormant pruning and bed cleanups, they're doing that for me. Landworks has you covered. The beauty of fall is all around us, and your garden and yard should be no exception. Enhance your outdoor space with professional services from Landworks. Make your home the envy of the neighborhood. Find your outdoor inspiration at landworkswisconsin.com, landworkswisconsin.com.
It's our Farm and Animal Appreciation Event at Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Right now, enjoy unbeatable prices on the brands you trust to keep your farm going strong. Like the DeWalt Power Stack Starter Kit with 2 batteries included, half price. 8 packs of Energizer AA or AAA batteries, your choice, just $6.99. And save on 4-pound pails of Tomcat, Mouse, and Rat Bait chunks, $19.99. Plus, we've worked with our brand partners to get prices down. So shop our new lower everyday prices at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. Are you in the market for a new roof, but overwhelmed at how to start the process? Well, here's a suggestion. Go with Tri-County Contracting. Installing roofs since the 70s, this family-owned company works for you. Stop by their showroom in New Berlin or go to TriCountyContractingWI.com. You don't want a process that takes forever. Tri-County Contracting makes it easy, from getting the estimate to getting that brand new roof. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. Tri-County Contracting.
Come and lay down by my side.
Oh, little Christopher Stockerson passed away this weekend. Incredible songwriter and performer. Dave Spano joining us, CEO of Annex Wealth Management. Dave, we talked about some of the good news. We see that the mortgage rate coming down a little bit. It's in the 5-6 range. We see that the market is setting records. But there are always risk factors out there. And one of the big ones, and I've heard you guys talk about it on your Saturday show, is inflation. Where do we seem to think that number is at and where it might go in the near short term?
It sure looks like inflation has been kind of reined in, if you will. You know, we had, as you know, large numbers. And the one thing people need to understand is inflation is rate of change. So we saw 9% and 8% and 7%. That is different from prices. People sometimes think, well, inflation has slowed down to 2%, therefore that prices will go lower. Those are two different topics. So that's rate of change. And so even though prices went up 20 to 25% over the last number of years, that doesn't mean that things are going to come back down. So one thing we do see coming back down is oil prices. That's generally pretty good. But there is a lot of things that are out there. You know, I mentioned an October surprise, Steve. And you look at what could be brewing right now. Obviously, the hurricane response in the southeast right now, while this East Coast port could have this strike, which could happen today, those two things happening at the same time could give a little bit of anxiety into the market right now. And, of course, growing geopolitical unrest. You can see what's happening, obviously, with Israel being aggressive and trying to beat back what's happened to them. Those two things could, you know, get out of control here in the next 30 days when I talked about the October surprise.
So a couple of things that I guess don't get talked about enough in my mind is the federal deficit, which has exploded over the last 10 years. And what might happen, and it's not a definite, I don't think yet, depending, of course, on the election, the expiration of the 2017 tax cuts. On those 2 points, where do you think we're at?
All right, those are really good. Those are really deep and conversations that we could spend a lot of time talking about. But let me just say this. The net interest on the debt, what does that mean, folks? There is now $35 trillion of debt, and there's been something like $10 trillion added over a number of years. The interest on that debt, because now we have debt, folks, and you have to go out and issue bonds. And because interest rates are up, the interest expense on that debt is higher. the interest on that debt, the net interest, now is going to exceed the national defense budget. Okay? So why is that a concern? Because once you start to pay all of this interest rates, and these are things these are mandatory expenses, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, it begins to squeeze out other things like discretionary spending, and that's education and healthcare and a lot of these other issues, infrastructure. That will squeeze things out, and that's why it is a really big conversation, especially when we were pounding the table about inflation, because interest rates were going to go up. That meant the interest cost on the debt will go up.
And on the tax cuts, I guess that's that's going to be determined probably by who wins the election.
Not only who wins the election, but who wins the control of Congress.
Right.
So, betting odds right now, I don't want to offend any of our listeners here, but, betting odds right now is that it's a 50-50 country, but it looks like the Republicans could flip the Senate and the Democrats could flip the House. So that might mean that we're not going to get all of these crazy tax policies that are being talked about. Both of them, are talking about raising taxes, by the way. So, Trump is talking about this border adjustable tax system, while the removal of the tax benefits for electric vehicles. And on the other side, we've all heard of Harris's plans for higher income, higher capital gains tax, higher estate taxes, higher corporate taxes, on and on and on. So we'll have to see really the makeup of Congress, which will tell us what's going to happen. So I would tell our listeners, don't freak out, but plan and prepare for a change.
And by the way, the Get Started button at annexwealth.com is a good way to get started on all of those decision making that you have to do, whether you're pre or post retirement. Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, always great to talk to you, great to catch up.
Okay, go Brewers. I'll see you soon.
Go Brewers. Hey, go Packers too. Why not? All right, Dave Spano joining us. Hey, coming up after the break here for local news with Connie Weber and the latest from ABC, a little bit of Dan Schaefer. We're going to start plugging the podcast a little more. I want you guys to have the long listens, the sort of flesh out things. And I only have an hour on the show, and we'll get to that in a little bit on the listener survey. I'm going to talk about that. Extended conversation about that. That's all coming up. But we'll tease a little bit of the Dan Schaefer podcast. Will be Decision Wisconsin on Wednesday. So local news from Connie Weber. Before we get to any of that, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has just now posted a message he says is meant for the people of Iran.
I know you don't support the rapists and murderers of Hamas and Hezbollah, but your leaders do. You deserve more. The people of Iran should know Israel stands with you. May we together know a future of prosperity and peace.
Iran killing the top commander of Iranian-backed Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon over the weekend. Israel, actually. Hezbollah's acting head says they will continue fighting. Western North Carolina grappling with hundreds of thousands of power outages. People are stranded without food, water, and other necessities. Hurricane Helene ripping across the southeast and slamming the area around Asheville, North Carolina, hit particularly hard. There is an investigation underway in Conyers, Georgia, following a massive chemical plant fire that led to thousands of evacuations east of Atlanta. They aren't sure even what chemicals were released. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 9:31. Deadly shooting on Milwaukee's north side this morning, 77th and Capitol, around 4 a.m. One person killed. Not clear if any arrests have been made. Cumberland Elementary School in Whitefish Bay closed today due to a power outage. School district hasn't commented on the cause of that outage, but asking parents not to go to the school. All other schools in the Whitefish Bay School District are open today. One person was killed in a crash Saturday in Greenfield. A semi-truck hit a broken-down vehicle and a pole near 108th Street and Layton Avenue, killing the person in the vehicle. The semi-driver, a 59-year-old Texas man, stayed on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Markets are all down right now. Dow is down 98 points, 42,214. NASDAQ down 20, 18,098. The S&P 500 is down about 7 points, 5,730. Get an honest opinion of where you are financially and where you're headed. Work with a fee-only fiduciary. Start at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. No major problems out there, just a little bit of slow and go. The construction zone, I-43 southbound, Brown Deer Road to downtown. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be sunny and warm today with high 75 up to 80. Inland, an isolated shower possible tonight. Otherwise, partly cloudy, low 59. Partly cloudy, breezy, quite a bit cooler tomorrow with a high of only 68. Chilly Wednesday morning with a high 78. Mostly sunny on Thursday with a high 74. And an isolated shower early Friday morning, then mostly sunny, high of 70. Right now in Madison, 63, 64 in Green Bay, 70 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time, 9:33.
The Fox exclusive cruise sale with Royal Caribbean is going on now. Daring first and thrilling adventures are as plentiful as elegant moments and stress-melting relaxation when you sail with Royal Caribbean. Fox World Travel offers exclusive cruise prices you won't find with any other local travel agency. Plus, for a limited time, receive free specialty dining on select cruises. Let a Fox World Travel cruise expert save you from the daunting task of choosing from ships, ports, and staterooms. And visit foxworldtravel.com to plan your next cruise.
Planning for retirement is like planning a road trip. You wouldn't start a long journey without a map, right? The same goes for your financial future. Every retirement plan needs the right tools. Social Security is one of those critical tools. But did you know when and how you claim your benefits can dramatically affect your retirement income? At Drake & Associates, we'll help you navigate the twists and turns of Social Security. Our team can guide you on when to start collecting benefits to maximize your income. Don't leave your retirement journey to chance. Call us or text SS to 414-409-9982. That's SS to 414-409-9982. Let us help you map out a secure and enjoyable retirement.
Drake & Associates is an independent investment advisory firm that offers different investment vehicles. All insurance products are backed by the issuing insurance company. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only.
Thanks for taking the time to find me on this Monday morning. Not Victory Monday, which I'm not happy about. Well, save that for the podcast. MMQ, Monday Morning Quarterback, that we're going to be recording right after this show, by the way. And, I have thoughts, especially on kickers. Anyway, every week I sit down and do a lot of podcasts. And it's sort of the digital side of what I do here at WTMJ, 620 WTMJ. And it's a great opportunity to sort of flesh out in a lot of detail because we know an hour's pretty constricted when you get to a long-form conversation. So the podcast, Decision Wisconsin version, Monday and Wednesday, which you can find just by texting the word decision, DECISION, to 855-616-1620. Sort of gives me that forum and that opportunity. And I'm going to tease Wednesday's conversation with Dan Schaefer. Used to be on the show. Now he's working another radio group and still does great work. He did probably one of the most in-depth looks at the sort of the races for assembly, the state races and Senate in our recent history in Wisconsin. In depth. I mean, regardless of your politics, he looks at it really in as down to the micro-focused, laser-focused detail as you can expect. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes of a tease to our Wednesday conversation. It was really, really good. Here's Dan Schaefer. His writing is found at the recombobulation area, but he is a sort of a great reporter on the realities of what the new district lines might mean for Wisconsin and, probably more importantly, those of us who live here.
The two biggest changes, with these new fairer maps that we had that were signed into law earlier this year, one is that there are far more competitive districts than there have been in years past.
Give me a numbers comparison. Previous to now?
When I did these categories in my 2022 guide, I only had one toss-up. Now I have 8. And in many of the closely competitive races, they were kind of leaning maybe 10 points in favor of Democrats or 10 points in favor of Republicans in some of those close-ish types of races. Now we have 8 races that I've identified as a toss-up and 12 in total that would be considered close races. And I think that is far more than we've seen in recent years because under the gerrymander that was in place that Republicans had installed, there were a lot of safe red seats and there were a lot of safe blue seats and not a whole lot in the middle. So they kind of carved up the lines to make it so there were fewer and fewer competitive seats in every election. Now that is changing in a really significant way. And I think the second thing with that in the big picture as well, we'll take the assembly as an example. Every year under this gerrymander, under the previous maps, there were 60 or more Republicans of the 99 seats in the gerrymander in the state assembly every year since 2012, since that's been in place. Before that, the Republicans usually kept control of the state assembly, but the number of seats they held was usually between 50 and 60.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to be returning to with these new maps, where neither party is having anywhere close to any kind of supermajority status like Republicans have been at or close to in the legislature. And we're going to be much closer to a 50-50 environment. So yes, for the Democrats this year, that is going to mean they are very likely to be picking up seats in the Senate and Assembly, but the majority still very much in question.
Dan Schaefer on the new lines. Now, a couple of thoughts. One, the supermajority question is one I think that is actually a good development. Why do I say that, Steve? Because it encourages sort of the dirty words of bipartisanship and compromise. And I know a lot of people don't like that, and we live in this angry, got to yell at people environment in politics now. But I'm not a proponent of that. Matter of fact, I think it just makes for bad politics and probably even more importantly, bad policy or inactivity when it comes to people we're paying a lot of money for to sort of run our government. So set that aside. These are competitive races. Best man or woman should win. And the great thing about that is voters decide their criteria, and their decision when votes cast, when the election is decided, should settle the conversation. And I hope that with these new lines, I don't really care which way they go. I just like the fact that they're more competitive. That's good for Wisconsin. Now, you'll hear other hosts talk, oh, my God, the end of the world, or, my God, Elon Musk tweeted today that if Trump doesn't win, there will never be an election again. And I will remind people, and somebody got really mad at me at Twitter this morning. I don't really care about that. Twitter's a great forum. I still use it. But I guess the age when I cared about some of the things that people tweet back passed long ago. But I tweeted back saying, just because you're a billionaire, there's not necessarily like a relationship between that and being smart. And whether Trump wins or Harris wins, elections will continue. Otherwise, we don't have a country. And you can keep saying this stuff out loud from positions of authority. And last time I checked, Elon Musk owns Twitter. It doesn't make it true. And whether you're now in this camp that's going to encourage violence on Election Day, either side, wrong. That's why we have law enforcement. That's why we have military. Not going to happen. And I know some people don't like when I mention January 6th, but that reality cannot happen again. Because as much as you like to pretend it didn't happen, police officers got beat on by protesters and rioters. That's the reality. You don't have to take my word for it. Just Google the video. There's plenty of it. So from a look at the new lines to the reality that represents, that should be a good development. And any notion, any broadcaster who is advocating for violence, or any candidate who says something like that, a day of violence, that's dangerous rhetoric. Doesn't belong in our civilization or our country. And that may irritate the hell out of you. Don't care. Most Americans want a peaceful society. Most Americans want to go to work, raise their family, enjoy their life, have fun, and not be dictated to by politicians all the time, especially those new politicians, newer, who spend a lot more time yakking than they ever spend on doing things that actually change our way of life. All right, after the break, listener survey. I've got thoughts on the Political Power Hour right here on WTMJ.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever, overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
We love being a trusted friend in the community for those who need an attorney but don't know where to turn. Our clients aren't the kind of people who typically bring lawsuits. Our clients have been hurt in a crash or accident and need our help and advice. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are injury lawyers living, working, and giving back in our community. When you need help from exceptional personal injury lawyers, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com.
Hey, John Mercure here for Guthrie and Fry Water Conditioning. I've got their water softener. I've got an RO system from Guthrie and Fry. That means the water coming into my house is filtered. It's crisp, clean, clear. Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry. Quality products and services at a fair price from a local company you can trust. Guthrie and Fry protects the water in my house. They deliver the salt. Sue and Rob, owners, very generous. And on top of it, they'll treat your family like their family. Southeast Wisconsin's #1 choice is Guthrie and Fry.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry. 1964, we've changed your tires and so much more. Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
You love and care for your parents, and now it may be time to help them move forward to a new lifestyle tailored to who they are today. Hi, this is Jean Nemelvitz from Bruce's team. The thought of sorting through years of memories and treasures can stop you in your tracks, but our team has all the services you'll need to make the process smooth and easy. Our team is ready to take you from overwhelmed to I can do this. Give us a call at 262-242-6177 or visit brucesteam.com.
Hey there, Wisconsin. It's Dave from Feldco. The seasons are changing and cooler temps are on the way. Are your windows ready? Feldco's energy-efficient, American-made windows are specifically designed for the Midwestern elements. It's the perfect time to make valuable upgrades to your home that'll keep you warm, safe, and comfortable. Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Visit us at 4feldco.com for a free quote or just give us a call. You know the number.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4Feldco.
All right. We're inviting you. This is a novel concept. How about the radio station asking you what you think? Instead of just shouting over these microphones like some do. We don't do that here. We invite you to participate in the 2024 WTMJ Fall Fan Survey. 10 minutes. That's all it takes. Actually, I love this. This is how a novel look at this thing can change the world. So I'm at the Lambeau yesterday for the Packers game, which did not go well, by the way. And I'll get to that in the podcast. And somebody I know says, hey, more Steve. I love that. That was my two-word little slogan for those folks that like this show and want to hear more of it. To participate, simply text the word survey, SURVEY, to the WTMJ Talk and Text line at 855-616-1620. That's 855-616-1620. A link will be sent to you. It'll be text back to you. Just click on the link. We don't get to do that. We don't. The participants are not the employees of GKB. As a thank you, if you complete the survey, you'll be entered to win a package that includes 2 Bucks tickets for the regular season this year and an overnight stay at the awesome Pfister Hotel, which is one of the greatest places to stay in Milwaukee. Everybody knows that. So a couple things. One, I appreciate the more Steve, so thanks for the folks who are doing that. I think that when you look at a station like this one, which is I know it's a dirty word, a legacy station. It's been around for a long time. Typically, we allow our guests and our journalists to do their job, a complete job, not a one-sided job, not a party talking point job, but a complete job. And I wonder, in the sort of the day and age that we live in, how common this is now. This is a chance, and you don't have to be positive. Trust me, I got a text here that says I should stop running the Harris campaign. If that's what you feel, text it. Put it in the survey. That's up to you. That's the difference with this station. I work here because I love this station, love this job. But the freedom to say things that aren't necessarily popular or part of a, for lack of a better party talking points that I just ripped up. That's the difference. So if you have an opinion about the station, what it sounds like, who the voices you hear, what it should sound like in the future, where the station should go in the future, this is your opportunity. The listener survey. Just text the word survey. I already see a bunch coming in on the text line. 855-616-1620. That's the WTMJ talk and text line. I'll go slower. 855-616-1620. Survey is all you got to text in. They'll send you a link back. People that have done it said it's really easy. And the cool thing is you can obviously win Bucks tickets, which is awesome, and a chance to stay at the Pfister. And that is a worthwhile reward for participation. Now, there's only one set of those, so someone's going to win. Winners and losers, we have to define our country that way. And as we go forward, and whatever the future of WTMJ is, it has certainly been enlightening to see politics shape a lot of what we do in a lot of different ways. How the shows are constructed, who's the voices that you hear on WTMJ, a wide variety. From the Jessica Ties, and the Greg Matzicks, and the Eric Bilsteads, Vince Vitranos, Kristen Bry, Brian Noonan, Sandy Max, all of these folks all have very different viewpoints and delivered a variety of different types of programs, which, frankly, I find interesting. Now, I understand this is self-promotion. But you don't think the other guy self-promotes? Should listen. And I do listen. See, that's the difference again. I listen to the other stations. I pay attention to what they say, but more importantly, I pay attention to what they don't say. I don't care who you vote for. I've said that since day one. Do not care. But I will tell you what I think about politics. It is the political power hour, by the way. And if you have an opinion or a thought on what we do here, and I have fun with the More Steve thing, if that's your thing, blast away. Or not your thing, I should say. Blast away. Everyone, I'm just reading a text, is entitled to their own beliefs and opinion. And the texter says they appreciate what WTMJ has to offer. I agree. That's why I work here. We'll take a quick break. Final segment. We're going to talk about podcasts because I want to. And you're missing some great content if you don't check in and listen to our long-form podcasts, which are amazing. A little biased, but I think so. That's next.
When we're out in your town, come say hi to us as we broadcast live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
Anytime you hear us when we're out on the road, you can find us live from our brand new mobile studio.
Whether it be Summerfest, EAA, Opening Day, Air and Water Show,
wherever we may be, you can see us on the radio, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi for Advent. Snoring issues, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep. Does that sound familiar? It does not have to be your reality. I actually had all those issues, horribly so. And maybe because I drank too much coffee, that didn't help either. But I did something about it. I went to Advent before I ever was a spokesperson. I was a client of Advent. Went and talked to their docs. About 30-minute visit, put me at ease, answered all my questions. We walked through all these things. So everyone has different problems and there's different solutions. Mine was sinuses and nasal passages. And I'll tell you right now, it was a game changer for me. I sleep through the whole night. If that's your goal, and it should be, well, you want to have a refreshed feeling in the morning like I do. That's why I'm such a good mood when I do this show. That is part of the story. So if you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you to find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better. Go to adventknows.com and schedule an appointment today because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Annex Wealth Management, investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
Uline is here for the hard workers, for the ones rolling up their sleeves, working round the clock, and getting the job done. You're dedicated to doing what it takes to keep a business growing. Uline is dedicated to helping you make that happen. Working 7 days a week, staying fully stocked and ready to ship any of our 41,000 items the same day. Uline, your shipping and industrial supply specialists. Visit uline.com.
People saw me and assumed I couldn't work. They only saw a disability, but I was ready to work. I am dependable, trainable, and productive. Then someone decided to believe in me and say yes.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
Debbie Loziga here for Kohler Services. If you need a bath or shower remodel, turn to Kohler Services. Family owned for 150 years. Kohler is your Wisconsin manufacturer providing care for life. This month only, get $1,000 off and 0 interest for 12 months on your Luckstone shower remodel. Visit KohlerServicesWI.com to request your free quote, with fast professional installation always included. That's KohlerServicesWI.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free.
Oh, the great Chris Christopherson passed away this weekend.
Feeling good.
Great songwriter and performer. My wife still talks about A Star Is Born, one of the earlier editions with Barbra Streisand. They were both brilliant in that movie. Passing away too early in my book. I mean, he was in his 80s, but just an incredible performer and lived a great life. So that is a sad thing. I also saw that John Black from Days of Our Lives, Greg Hogeston, passed away. If you're a Days fan, he's only 71. So that's a sad thing. Want to talk about podcasts as we close out the Political Power Hour Monday edition. And for the folks who are wondering why we didn't have journalists today, there's a lot going on in politics in Wisconsin. And today the schedules didn't work for, I think it was Matt Smith and AJ Bayatpour. They'll be back. It just was it's a very busy week in Wisconsin politics. They will return on sort of a rotating basis, or maybe together. We'll see. But I want to talk about the podcast a little bit, because a lot of people that I talk to about the show, and I occasionally do presentations for small groups about the program. We do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of digital work for WTMJ, and I love doing it. And there's a few things that I do that are really fun to do. And obviously, talking about politics is sort of a unique job, and I appreciate the fact that I get to do it 5 days a week. But I also do two Decision Wisconsin podcasts each week, sort of a long-form version of what we do on the show with no interruptions, usually about 15 to 20 minutes long. I teased the one from Dan Schaefer. That's going to be on Wednesday's edition of Decision Wisconsin podcast. Today's is a really, really good one with Quentin Claiborne from the Institute for Reforming Government. I sat down with Quentin last week. First of all, he's brilliant. He wrote a great op-ed for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel on 4 things that MPS needs to do as quickly as possible to enrich our educational environment in Milwaukee. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, because I want you to listen to the podcast. But you can find our Decision Wisconsin podcast, which up here at WTMJ.com or wherever you get your podcasts. You can just text the word decision, DECISION, and you'll get the whole lineup. And we've done probably more than 100 now. And we'll continue to do them throughout the next few weeks when we get to the November election. And we'll probably tweak it a little bit after that. I'm going to probably do some stuff with Kristen Bry from the afternoon, who also loves to talk about politics. So we'll tweak that one. The other one that I love doing, 2 of them actually. One of them is the Monday Morning Quarterback, and that is a real hoot. I mean, Brandon Snide, who's my former producer, former sports guy, now producing the afternoon show here on WTMJ. We sit down after every game. We're going to do it right after the program today and just sort of get it out there. We're not going to shout. So I might shout. Kickers drive me nuts. But we'll give you about 20 minutes on what we saw for the podcast. So that's available at WTMJ.com, Monday Morning Quarterback. And if you go to the podcast page on the website, just click on Monday Morning Quarterback. And real quick, Scaffidi-ology. Every Friday, it's a topic that's sort of unrelated to politics, almost exclusively. I'm going to do one. I'm recording one this afternoon with some restaurant owners. I'm fascinated about that. And we've done, travel, cruise people, and we've done restaurants before. I've done planetarium directors. I've done famous writers like James Patterson. It's all over the board. Just everything but politics. You can find that one just by texting the word Steve, S-T-E-V-E, to 855-616-1620. And finally, because we got to get out of here for Jeff Sherman on the Upswing, if you missed any or all of this show, the Political Power Hour, just text the letters PPH, and you get the link to all of our podcasts, all of our interviews, all of our great things that we've done over the years. So a little self-promotion to wrap up the Political Power Hour on this Monday. Jeff Sherman, The Upswing, coming up after the news on WTMJ.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of